Oh, we are going to talk about Joe Rogan today. So Joseph Robinette Rogan had Oliver Stone on, okay, to talk about, I don't know, whatever the like JFK, maybe, probably. And I mean, he's dope. Like, he's done, I mean, he's weird, but he's also kind of dope. I know his son. He used to be under the TYT Network umbrella. And God knows what they talked about, but let's see what he has to say about Tucker Carlson.
Tucker Carlson, who's apparently the declared enemy of the establishment.
So he's an interesting guy because he's another one of those like old school leftists. He's another one of those like old school fucking leftists who kind of fell off a little bit. If you catch him on a good day, he's got really good takes, but then also he's got lip takes. Like he thinks JFK was like a hero. That's like old guy shit. Every old person thinks that. Okay, Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. He will also have like weirdo reactionary takes like the Tucker Carlson one.
That's a giant problem that they have in not allowing people to go on someone's show because you think that's...
Yo, straight up, if you believe genuinely in your heart of hearts that Tucker Carlson is legitimately and genuinely posturing from a point of view that is like aligned with leftism and leftist values, and he like actually is a leftist, you're a fucking idiot, okay? I don't give a fuck who this person is who thinks that. It's like thinking Hitler was a socialist. It's just like you're falling for the populist rhetoric. He's not a true like actual leftist populist. He does not give a shit about any of that. He's a libertarian, okay?
That someone represents something evil.
And he's not even like a real libertarian. I mean, like he's a libertarian in the American sense, in like the Joe Rogan sense.
You think that someone represents something evil. Here's what you have to look at. This is what I'd say to my fellow left-wing people. Tucker Carlson's one of the rare people that lets these guys on and lets them talk about whatever the issue is.
Yeah.
That's not true. The only way Tucker Carlson would ever allow someone to come on his broadcast that isn't just like a charlatan mouthpiece for the right is if they're attacking the Democratic Party and nothing else. The limited window of opportunity for people to tap into the Tucker Carlson audience only extends to you as far as you are being used as a silly Billy that will shit on the Democratic Party, which deserves criticism. Do not misunderstand me. And that's it. The moment that you stray away from that and start talking about Fox News, you will never return. And the greatest example of this is that fucking dude, that social democrat dude who went on, the historian guy who went on after he ripped into the billionaires at Davos, Rutger Bregman. Actually, you know what? I'm going to show you guys that video. It's been a while.
Weinstein or whoever it is that he's having on. These people, they demonize the folks that are guests on his show because they're willing to talk to him. And they'll say all these things about Tucker Carlson, that he's a white supremacist and a racist and a separatist and all that. But you're just trying to dismiss this opportunity that these people have to reach millions and millions of people in a format that's rare in that he lets these people talk, where you can't get that format on CNN or MSNBC or any of these other places where you can't talk about.
Hey guys, let's take a look at what Tucker Carlson famously did when yourself,
you tiny brain, and I hope this gets picked up.
Here's Tucker Carlson losing his mind at a Dutch historian he had on as a guest. My favorite crypto fascist lost his cool after having Rutger Bregman on a show, thinking this would be the usual the lefter hypocrites hour.
Are you the first person ever to note that people are flying private to talk about global warming and that none of them mention tax avoidance? Has anyone ever said that before at Davos that you know of?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on Davos history, but it is a bit hypocritical, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Just listen to how excited Tucker is, thinking this guy is just going to play into his narrative after dunking on a bunch of billionaires at Davos.
I mean, 1,500 private jets have flown in here to hear Sir David Attenborough speak about, how we're wrecking the planet.
The vast majority of Americans, for years and years now, according to the polls, including Fox News viewers and including Republicans, are in favor of higher taxes on the rich. But no one's saying that at Davos, just as no one's saying it on Fox News, right?
And others have noted that. We've noted it on this show. We've just never gone to Davos and said it out loud as you did. So if I was wearing a hat, I would take it off to you. What response did you get?
I mean, they were not very happy with me, but I'm just, I think, a random Dutch historian who's basically saying what everyone around the globe is thinking.
But this is the moment when the wheels start coming off, when Bregman starts talking about taxes. And watch Tucker malfunction because he doesn't have a dialogue tree prepared for this point.
Well, what was interesting, I thought, about what you said was you noted something. I mean, many people have called for higher taxes, but very few
Well,
have
not on this
noted.
channel.
It would be interesting to know how many hours of Fox you've watched.
There you go, deflect, drive the narrative back to the tax avoidance thing. Don't talk about higher taxes. Oh, please, dear God, don't talk about higher taxes on Fox News. And after this, Tucker tries to claim this is a different economy now, so we somehow can't have higher taxes for the wealthy for some reason, even though the reason labor was outsourced overseas is also because of capitalism, but whatever. But Bregman doesn't cave and actually doubles down and then drives the point that Tucker is working to hold up the system.
So I think the issue really is one of corruption and of people being bribed and of not talking about the real issues. What the Murdochs basically want you to do is to scapegoat immigrants instead of talking about tax avoidance.
Whew! Calling out the Murdochs, billionaire tax avoidance, and the immigrant scapegoats? Oh, Lord, dude.
You are a millionaire funded by billionaires. That's what you are. You're not part of the solution. You're part of the problem, actually.
Got him. Now watch Tuckerbot malfunction.
AOC, wait, but can I just say, and
You're just not talking about certain...
No, for people asking, like, is this cringe for you to watch? No, I think this video popped the fuck off. It's got like 1.4 million views, Facebook views, so it's obviously not as like real, but actually this was after they had turned off the video faucet, so these are more real views than the other ones. But no, I think this video fucking slaps, dude. This is a great video. I'm slowly fucking left pilling you know, TYT on Facebook, you know what I mean? Boomers.
Fox doesn't even play where you are.
Here I imagine Tucker falling down a deep, dark, bottomless well, and this is him just like trying to grab onto anything, just a ledge, a branch, anything, and this is all he can come up with. Despicable.
Well, have you heard of the internet? I can watch things whatever I want, you know? I have, actually. I can't say I'm a great fan of your show, but I do my homework when you invite me on your show. You're probably not gonna air this, but I went to Davos to speak truth to power, and I'm doing exactly the same thing right now. You may not like it, but you're a millionaire funded by billionaires, and that's the reason why you're not talking about these issues.
But I am talking about these issues.
Yeah, only now. Come on, you jumped the bandwagon. You're all like, oh, I'm against the globalist elite, blah, blah, blah. It's not very convincing, to be honest.
Why don't you go yourself, you tiny brain, and I hope this gets picked up, because you're a moron. I tried to give you a hearing, but you were too annoying for me.
You can't handle the criticism, can you?
I don't know how this clip is allowed on the internet. This is literally my kink, okay? Some people like to get their toes sucked. Me, I like to watch a smug WASP nationalist get owned, get dunked on by a Dutch social democrat with a worse hairline than mine. My God, what a glorious event, dude. I want to say two things before I end this, okay? One, this is exactly how you deal with someone like Tucker Carlson when you go on their show. And two, the reason why Tucker Carlson was baffled by this is because most people rarely ever push back because they're so busy trying to get called back to these shows that they end up playing ball. But my boy Rutger Bregman did not play ball on this day. And for that, I am forever grateful.
So that was years ago. I said this, I made this video
Hasan Piker.
many years ago. That was 3 years ago. Thursday, February 21st, 2019. That's when that video came out. That's when I fucking wrote this video and shot this video. And that video is still incredibly relevant to this day. And the reason why it's still incredibly relevant to this day is because Tucker Carlson is still doing this shit. At that point, Glenn Greenwald hadn't like full-blown started his like arc. He was just in the beginning phases of that arc. You know what I mean? And idiots 3 years later are still doing this dumb shit. Like Tucker Carlson's a leftist.
CNN or MSNBC or any of these other places where you can't talk about controversial stories that are outside of what's this pushed narrative. And he allows that. And they're trying so hard to minimize his impact and minimize the impact of any guest that's willing to participate in his platform.
The only thing you should be minimizing is the top of the hour ad break.
very.
Oh, okay. He had more Glenn. Glenn also has some fucking Joe Rogan clips here. As faith and trust in large corporate media collapse and as their audience homogenizes or disappears, all for good reason, there are some whose platforms and influence keeps growing. And most importantly, whose trust level increases across diverse camps. Think about why. So, Glenn and I are on the same side if we're going to fucking think about it from the point of view of like mainstream media versus independent outlets. As a matter of fact, I would go so far as to say that I have less corporate and institutional backing than someone like Glenn Greenwald has. Glenn Greenwald literally was a journalist at The Guardian. Okay, he was a straight up mainstream media journalist for a very long time. Sorry, I just got hit in the face with like some chatter who was like, "Did you talk about sexual assault or some shit? What the fuck?" Anyway, he also was the reason why The Intercept was created by a billionaire by the name of Pierre Omidyar. So this idea that like Glenn Greenwald is you know, an independent or whatever the fuck, like I am more independent than Glenn Greenwald is in a million different ways, especially considering the fucking reality that he goes on the Tucker Carlson broadcast on a daily basis. He has like a permanent teat that he suckles on to, you know, reach out to these diverse audiences. You are not a journalist. That doesn't matter. Neither is Glenn Greenwald anymore, okay? The Glenn Greenwald of today is absolutely different than the Glenn Greenwald of yesterday. I think you and Glenn fundamentally view media, even mainstream media, with entirely different lenses. He's entirely bad faith in his approach to everything. Okay, here's the part where I guess Glenn and I would agree on our analysis of the media. Okay? And this isn't to, you know, vilify my perspective or destroy my perspective by saying someone that you guys see as like a villain in this broadcast and I have an agreement on something. Mainstream media absolutely has a perspective. Under a neoliberal method of control, you have what is known as manufacturing consent. Joe Rogan sucking off Dave Chapelle trans comedy. Okay, yeah, we'll look at that too. But the point is that there is a narrow box of ideologies that are deemed acceptable. Glenn Greenwald wishes you never left Turkey. Yeah, whatever. Who cares? You know, whatever. There's a box of acceptable ideas, and that is like I would say center left for sure, all the way to like super reactionary ideas, super far right ideas that are within that narrow view of acceptable, within the confines of acceptability within mainstream media. And if you fit that mold, if you're a liberal, you will get a lot of broadcasting power. Glenn Greenwald couldn't fit that mold originally because of his anti-government, anti-Obama administration, anti-surveillance state attitudes, but he certainly fits that now as a reactionary because that is precisely how he gets a fuckload of brownie points and hours upon hours on the most successful mainstream media broadcast out there, Fox fucking News. It is bananas to me that Glenn Greenwald has this attitude about mainstream media, but he goes on Fox News every fucking night. It is so stupid. It is so silly. It is so bananas to have this sort of approach to where you like talk about how like independent news outlets are fucking growing. Like, dog, you literally are on Tucker Carlson's broadcast. It is the most famous, the most successful fucking news show in America. That makes no sense. You're not independent, dude. You are literally fucking still mainstream, just like you were mainstream when you were a Guardian journalist, okay? Everybody wants to be a fucking cool kid. And then they attack others by saying, like, I'm targeting your independent cred. That's why whenever you fucking talk shit about me, it's always around, like, how I'm a DNC stooge or how I'm a CIA operative. It's like, motherfucker, I'm not going on the broadcast of the dude who literally said Iraqis are primitive apes that deserve to be fucking firebombed and playing, you know, a buddy with him every fucking night. When Fox News or Tucker Carlson specifically mentions me, it's to get people to try to fucking assassinate me, okay? For things I've said about American imperialism. So what's up? Are you really a fucking leftist? What's going on there? Like, I'm the fucking pro-imperialist CIA stooge. You're the fucking, moralist, anti-CIA guy. You go on Tucker Carlson's broadcast. I only get mentioned on Tucker Carlson's broadcast because he wants to fucking, get his psychotic fans to kill me. That's kind of weird, dude. It's kind of weird. That's why I always used to fucking make fun of the Tulsi Gabbard simps in here that would come in here and be like, Tulsi Gabbard is a real anti-imperialist. Why won't you fucking support her? Why won't you fucking support her? Like, you idiot. Like, you're fucking fake. You're like pro-American imperialism. Yeah, exactly. That's why I got fucking crosshairs on my head when I get mentioned on Fox News, whereas Tulsi Gabbard goes on there to get favorable coverage.
Attractive, to be honest, and to be.
Are you avoiding the Turkish Twitch money probe laundering because you're guilty? Yeah, dude. I have like 62,000 subs, and it's all money laundering, dude. That's how I got to number 13, by doing money laundering in Turkey.
Keep it now.
You fucking caught me. And I'm also laundering money for the CIA. $35 trillion in the Pentagon budget that is impossible to figure out where it went. That's all actually in my pocket. They're laundering it to me so I can fund the Contras. Weren't you a big Joe Rogan fan at some point? When did this change, and are you still a fan to some degree? I was a huge Joe Rogan fan. There was a very long time when I was a Joe Rogan fan. I met Joe Rogan. I hung out with Joe Rogan. Anyway, let's watch.
It's also made it very attractive, to be honest, and to be as objective as possible, because it's so unusual in the world of mainstream media. It literally is non-existent. It doesn't exist. Everything is biased. Everything has there's a narrative they're pushing from every single.
Bro, what is happening, dude? Did this guy get so horny while he was fucking filming this with his phone that he like started breathing directly into the microphone? What is happening right now? This is unacceptable.
Single network that's corporate controlled.
Yes, absolutely.
And because of that, it's incredibly unattractive to people that are paying attention. So they look at the trust in mainstream media is at an all-time low. But the good thing about that is it gives rise to these people like Glenn Greenwald, like Matt Taibbi, like these people that can just say what the actual facts of the story are.
Yeah, I like Glenn. I saw him in Rio. I was in Rio de Janeiro with Lula, and he has really broke that story in Brazil.
Yes.
He saved Lula's, he saved his noodle. That was a great revelation. He exposed what his enemies were doing, and Lula got sprung from jail.
Yeah, it's extraordinary.
And he's going to run for president. That was a tremendous public service. But he's also very open to the Kennedy killing. He's not. And I saw him recently. He goes on Tucker Carlson, who's apparently the declared enemy of the establishment.
That's a giant problem that they have. And not allowing people to go on someone's show because you think that someone represents something evil. Here's what you have to look at. This is what I'd say to my fellow left-wing people. Tucker Carlson's one of the rare people that lets these guys on and lets them talk about whatever the issue is.
Yeah.
Whether it's guys like Brett Weinstein or whoever it is that he's having on. These people, they demonize the folks that are guests on his show because they're willing to talk to him. And they'll say all these things about Tucker Carlson, that he's a white supremacist and a racist and a separatist and all that. But you're just trying to dismiss this opportunity that these people have to reach millions and millions of people in a format that's rare in that he lets these people talk, where you can't get that format on CNN or MSNBC or any of these other places, where you can't talk about controversial stories that are outside of what's this pushed narrative.
Yeah, motherfucker went through a wind tunnel, dude. Lemo, can't wait for Tucker to have Glenn on talk about the Israel-Palestine conflict. Yeah, that's never going to happen. Dude, there's something wrong with my lights today, by the way. It's like crazy bright. Look at this. Yes, I will be getting a new camera soon, okay? Joe Rogan defending Dave Chapelle against Patton Oswalt. So here's one thing I will say. As much as I hate what has become of Dave Chapelle, a person who I admired and loved and thought was incredibly funny for a very long time in my life, who now just makes really just awful content for the most part, and he's just an old angry boomer who can't fucking let go of the change that he is experiencing around himself. And it's fucking comedy cancer, and you guys are not going to agree with me. I don't give a shit. I literally saw him live recently. Okay? I saw him live recently, and he could not shut the fuck up about the fucking school that he went back to, his own personal school that he went back to, and how much the Zoomers like despised him. It's just, he's old, bro. That's just it. It sucks. Obviously, his new content is not going to be great because he just finished his special. I could go some seriously problematic Patton Oswalt bits. Yeah, no shit, bro. They're comedians. What the fuck is wrong with you? Go ahead, bro. Go cancel Patton Oswalt. Listen, comedians do cultural critique and cultural analysis. Some of those old bits are not going to fucking work with your understanding of the world today. You aren't the same person that you were compared to 2 years ago. So why the fuck do you expect other people, especially in the media, to have a different fucking, to be different than that? Because your brain is broken by capitalism. So you think humans are supposed to be fucking brands. And brands themselves are not even real or ethical in any meaningful capacity. It's so annoying. I just like hate the comedy policing. But the only thing I hate more than the comedy policing is bad comedy as a consequence of people crying about comedy policing. Life fucking sucks. It's shitty. Everyone's got their own shit that they're worried about. And these guys look at how shitty life is and make light of it, okay? And sometimes they make you laugh. And that's huge, okay? That is really, really important. So it is incredibly fucking annoying when people are, when these people who are supposed to make you laugh and offer like good feedback, decent fucking cultural analysis and like talk about how silly life is, turn around and fucking make garbage comedy. Aren't you? No, I'm not comedy policing Dave Chapelle. A criticism for a person that I personally loved growing up and still to some degree can't let go of, okay, does not mean I'm policing his comedy. You sound exactly like the dumbass liberals you fucking despise, okay? Are you saying you're not offering fealty and unconditional loyalty to comedian man that made bad joke? Well, you must hate all comedy. Shut the fuck up. You don't want to laugh. You just want to do this. You just want to fucking clap when the comedian man says something that you agree with, and then maybe out there somewhere there's a fucking blue-haired SJW because you're stuck in fucking 2016. There's a blue-haired SJW that's going to be really frustrated. Saying that Dave Chappelle's fucking new bits are just old boomer, old man yells at cloud is not comedy policing. You think you're edgy. You think you're different than the liberals. You're not. You crying about other people saying Dave Chappelle's last special wasn't that good are exactly the same as the fucking people who were like, you didn't like Zack Snyder's cut? Like, fuck you. It was the greatest masterpiece I've ever seen. There's nothing different between your attitude and their attitude, okay? These people have South Park takes? Yeah, 100%. As I was saying, Dave Chappelle's last shit is mid. Not even mid. It just sucks. It's old. It's resentful. I've heard it from Greg Gutfeld, okay? If you're doing Steven Crowder bits, you're no longer a fucking incredible comedian, okay? It's just the reality. He's in an extended stun lock about trans people existing, and in his mind, he thinks like trans people have been able to elevate themselves above black people, okay? In the marginalized, in the ladder of people who are marginalized. I'm using terminology that is not actually arriving at the heart of the matter. He actually has a new bit, though, that is very good, that addresses his perspective perfectly. But everything surrounding that fucking bit that you guys are unaware of, by the way, okay, because you haven't listened to his new shit yet, in his post-comedy special, he talks about James Baldwin. And once that fucking bit is refined, it's going to be perfect. And it will help you understand a little bit his point of view. But everything around that literally is still dog shit, dude. In his mind, black LGBTQ does not exist. Okay, that's literally, quite literally not true. He talks about that as well. But if you are so horny if you're so used to being admired by everyone around you and hold yourself to that standard, and then the moment people are just like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? Like, chill out with this shit. Then, you don't react to that in like, oh no, Hasan thinks Dave is dog shit now. What are we ever going to do? I mean, you don't have to do anything. You can do whatever the fuck you want with your life. Like, why are you so triggered? Like, it's not like I'm like, oh my God, I went and saw Dave Chappelle after his comedy special. Like, I'm not saying that like Dave Chappelle should be locked up, jailed, or even have his fucking Netflix special removed. You watched one fucking Dave Chappelle special for the first time in your life because you're a Zoomer who's never even seen his earlier work, and it triggered the fucking libs in your mind. So now you think he's hilarious, okay? You haven't even seen his best shit, and you're over here talking to me, someone who grew up with Dave Chappelle, who loves Dave Chappelle's comedy, who fucking has seen him live a million times, who has met him, and you're telling me that like I have less of a fucking stake in this because you are unconditionally getting the slop fed to you and going, please sir, I want some more. Like, you can't come in here and fucking tell me about my why are you supporting a turf? I also provide some level of cultural analysis, okay? I'm gonna go and fucking see Dave Chappelle to see if his attitude has changed, if he's like fully moved on like he said he was going to in the end of his stand-up special, or if he's still getting drunk and fucking constantly railing on about trans people and how the LGBT CIA controls Hollywood and that you can't say anything about the fucking alphabet people because they'll lose their fucking minds. And yes, unfortunately, it's still on that. That's what he's talking about still. Non-fucking stop. Nuance is such a problem with members of this community. It's a problem everywhere. It's not just here, dude, okay? It's a problem everywhere. It's annoying. I speak uninterrupted for 10 hours a day. If you still can't comprehend what the fuck I'm saying, that's kind of a you problem at that point. What I was trying to say is he's too fucking caught in that feedback loop. And this gets a lot of people, especially people in media, obviously. A lot of people in media get caught up in that fucking feedback loop, and they either are they have moral convictions that they stand by, or when they get that fucking pushback, they decide to shelter in and get into their bunker and go, fuck these people that are shitting on me. They don't understand it. Fuck them. Ultimately, what I'm trying to say is it's incredibly fucking cancerous for people to be caught up, for comedians, especially comedians like Dave Chappelle, to be caught up in the situation where they end up doing Steve Crowder type bits, okay? Trolling is the lowest bar of comedy, is the lowest, like the absolute lowest, bottom of the fucking barrel, low hanging fruit of comedy. Oh, what I'm doing is supposed to be funny because you're annoyed by it, or certain groups that we all hate are annoyed by it. You know what I mean? That just sucks. It's not funny at all. There's no insightful analysis there. There's nothing there. And he can't stop fucking trolling the LGBT community. Great. Keep owning the libs, brother. You're doing a fucking great job. It just sucks that your comedy suffers as a consequence of that. Let's see. So what ended up happening is Patton Oswalt is recording, I think, or doing a stand-up. He's doing stand-up next door from Dave Chappelle doing stand-up, okay? So Dave says, hey, you know, come make an appearance on my stand-up show as well. Patton Oswalt says yes. The liberals on Twitter fucking lose their minds over this and say, fuck you, you're supporting a transphobic person, you're a piece of shit. And then Patton Oswalt takes a photo of himself pondering deeply while writing on that yellow legal paper his apology note, okay? Which is the wackest fucking thing you can do. It's like, it's so incredibly cringe, dude. Okay? It's like, I think that is absolutely fucking worse than just like, I think that's worse than just coming out and be like, no, I fucking love Dave Chappelle. Shut the fuck up. Okay? Straight up. Like, why? What are you doing? You're issuing an apology? What the fuck? So he wrote this post. He said, finished my set at McCaw Hall and got a text from Dave Chappelle. Come over to the arena he's performing in next door and do a guest set. Why not? By the way, he did a fucking horrible job writing this. Jesus Christ, dude. Why not? I waved goodbye to this hell year with a genius I started comedy with 34 years ago. He works in arena like he's talking to one person and charming their skin off. Anyway, I ended the year with a real friend and a deep laugh. Can't ask for much more. Wait, this isn't the one. Hold on. Where's the fucking apology letter that he wrote? What a meme. Oh, here it is. Bro, look at this. By the way, M. Hud with the correct analysis earlier. I caught that in the chat. Michael said, taking a photo of yourself writing your apology is an incredibly misgift move, and that is true. This is some shit misgift would do, okay? Like creating content out of your cancellation or whatever the fuck. So Patton Oswalt, side by side with this photo, makes it so much fun here. I saw a friend I hadn't seen in a long time this New Year's Eve. We've known each other since we were teens. He's a fellow comedian and the funniest I've ever met. Wanted to post a pic and an IG story about us, so I did. The friend is Dave Chapelle. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, hold on.